Hello and welcome to Dear Comms, the coffee break podcast where we tackle your biggest corporate comms challenges. I'm Imogen.
And I'm Amanda. We're here to provide practical, no-nonsense advice so you can focus on what matters most, driving influence, engagement and impact.
Today's question comes from Rebecca, but to be honest, it could come from a wide number of people. She says, as a senior communicator, how do you know when it's time to make a move and change jobs?
Well, Rebecca, recognising when to leave a job is a significant decision, especially in our sector, where roles can be multifaceted and demanding.
I think it's something that most, if not all, senior communicators face at some point in their career. You know, they're established, they know the people, the processes, the company culture, but something just isn't right. Maybe you feel you're no longer growing or being challenged.
Maybe you feel a little too comfortable in your comfort zone. You've, got the t-shirt and you've worn it for quite a bit. Or it's becoming clear that your own values are misaligned with the company's.
Some signs are subtle, some are more obvious. And one of the hardest things to know is whether that red flag is a temporary thing or whether it's a sign that you need to make a change.
And it's very easy to ignore the red flags when you're wrapped up in the day-to-day. But there are some key indicators that suggest that it might be time to consider new opportunities.
Let's start with one which I am incredibly familiar with because it's the reason I decided to make a change and leave an in-house job. It's that feeling that you're no longer growing or being challenged in your role.
The problem is, if you're good at your job, it's far easier for the organisation to keep you there rather than looking for your next role.
Especially if there's no one there to take your place. If you're no longer being stretched or if your role's stagnated, you've really turned yourself into a bit of a commodity. Continuous learning is vital for all communicators. While the fundamentals of communications generally remains the same, the ever-evolving landscape around us means that we have to keep on pushing ourselves and our teams. We have to be curious. We have to always want to learn more.
Yeah, absolutely. We should thrive on innovation, whether that's in approach, technology or strategy. If you're not evolving, you're standing still. Have you outgrown your role? If your leaders can't clearly articulate what's next for you, it's probably a good indicator for you.
And don't be fobbed off with that vague, we have a plan, because that generally means they don't.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? If you're not going anywhere in your role, you look somewhere else.
To assess this, just ask yourself some simple questions. What new skills or experience have I gained in the last 6 months? What competencies have I grown? What opportunities are there for me in the next year? And if the answer to these is none, it may be time to consider a change.
As we grow older and we get more experienced, our own core values become more defined. I know mine have. And the things that I thought were acceptable in the workplace many moons ago just wouldn't be acceptable to me now. So, you've probably realised your company's vision or culture no longer aligns with yours.
And it seems like such a small thing, doesn't it? But
it's not.
Especially for communicators, we're in a role which is dedicated to representing the company's purpose and protecting its reputation. And if you have that internal conflict between your own values, the values of the organisation, it's really hard to be authentic in our role because we're just going through the motions and being a corporate robot.
Yeah, and it's not just about you. It can happen when company priorities or leadership shifts and changed and you find yourself out of sync, a little bit disconnected. So take time to reflect on your company's current direction and leadership. Does it still motivate you? Do you feel you're part of something bigger, something you believe in? And you can have a yes or no answer to that.
Another neon sign for me which should tell you that you should consider moving on, is when you are suffering from persistent burnout or stress. We're going to do a full episode on burnout in a couple of weeks, but for now, know this: chronic stress that impacts your health or your personal life is a huge, massive, waving red flag.
Yeah, and burnout it doesn't happen just as a result of a massive workload. Sometimes it happens when you feel you're not making an impact or you've lost passion for the work.
We've probably all been there. I'm sure even you, Amanda, probably have days where you wake up on Monday and you think, well, I could rather not. And occasional days off are normal. It's when that feeling of dread is constant. It's incredibly draining, and it just makes you want to curl up in a ball and pull the duvet over your head.
Absolutely worth paying attention to your energy levels. This is going to be a big trigger. If you're feeling drained and disengaged regularly, it's something to note.
There are times when it's not me, it's you problem when it comes to jobs. If your work or your contributions or that of your team are consistently undervalued, not acknowledged, stolen by other people to give them credit, maybe, if you're constantly being overlooked when it comes to promotion, it may be a signifier that your growth isn't as much of a priority for the organization as it is for you.
You also need to be very conscious about whether your work environment has become toxic. Now, we bandy this word around toxicity, but it takes a number of forms. It could be a simple lack of support and poor communication. It could be people undermining you. It could be gossip, lack of trust, maybe a little bit of bullying.
It's critical to understand whether that toxicity is isolated to a few people, which is sometimes the case, or whether it's indicative of the overall culture of the organization. Is it temporary, or is it a consistent pattern of bad behavior?
And it might not just be aimed at you. Take a look at how others are treated. If you're constantly in the middle trying to protect your team for others, it's obviously going to have an impact on your own morale.
I think the red thread, if you like, that goes through all of these warning signs is the need for you to stay true to your own values and the importance of maintaining integrity.
Yeah, it's gut instinct, isn't it? If it doesn't feel right in your gut, it probably isn't. And knowing the signs and when to act is crucial. It may be that you first try and address these issues internally. It is important that sometimes people aren't aware of their impact on you. Or you could decide that nothing will change and you need to take the future into your own hands.
Whatever you do, it's up to all of us to take control of our own career. We have to be our own advocates. We have to protect and develop our own reputation because no one else is going to do that for us.
It is a big move, changing jobs, personally and professionally. But equally, staying put in a role because it seems easier is not right either, because it could have a serious knock-on effect in the long run. You have to prioritize your own growth and happiness. Your career should be a source of fulfillment, not frustration.
So how do you know when it's time to make the move? In my experience, if you're asking the question, you already know what the answer is. Approach anything you do thoughtfully, with consideration. Stay true to your values and your goals, and you'll go far.
Great point to finish on, Imogen. If you've got a communications challenge you want us to tackle, drop it in the comments. We'd love to help. Until next time.
Goodbye.